Hello, and welcome to the Healthy is Happy podcast, the show that helps you get back to the basics of healthy and happy living. We're your hosts. I'm Nellie Ward.
And I'm Jennifer Maha. This podcast is the passion project of two friends who believe that healthy living is happy living. Always look for the good in others, never stop believing in the power of positivity, and think a little hard work goes a long way. To us, healthy living is simply a commitment to making daily choices that keep us on a healthy trajectory, both physically and mentally. We believe it's a lifelong journey, not a destination, and we like to be your co-host along this journey. Buckle up and stay hydrated. It's going to be an epic adventure. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Healthy is Happy podcast. I am one of the hosts, Jennifer, and
I'm Nellie.
So today we have two hosts on our visitors on our show, two guests. We've never had two before, so this is exciting. So we have Kat and Randa. They are both friends of ours. They both work at Varsity Sports. They are both triathletes, marathon runners, and phenomenal athletes. So today we brought them on together because one of the topics we wanted to talk about, and we've mentioned this in other episodes, is how when you train with a partner or do anything with a partner, it's more fun, you laugh a little bit more, and you push yourself a little bit harder, and they hold you accountable. So both of you guys have been training and racing together for a few years, and you've set and accomplished some very important goals.
Lots of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. So it's beyond just accountability to show up and exercise. Like, it's some serious goals. So we thought we'd start at the beginning of y'all's relationship and just tell us, like, how'd you guys meet?
Well, it all started one morning at Varsity Sports. I think it was a Tuesday, right? You're the one who asked me to come run.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'll come run.
I just kind of raised my hand and volunteered to distribute. No one else really stood up for the challenge. So
When was that?
fall of 2017, right?
Okay, so like 5 years ago.
August.
Yeah.
It's right at the beginning of fall
training.
marathon training.
I can so see it.
Yeah.
Randa's like, everyone's too scared. Randa's too fast. Kat's like, I'll do it.
Did you know that she was a fast runner at the time?
I knew who she was, but I didn't know who she was.
You're like, this sounds like
Yeah.
fun.
I was like, I wanted to run, and she was running, so I just kind of went for it.
And how was that first run?
I mean, what did we talk about? Boston, maybe qualifying for Boston, or
Y'all went
Out the gate.
I don't really remember what we talked about the first run, but like I remember we talked the whole time. Like there was no
No awkward.
there was no
easy.
weird
It was very easy.
moments or anything like that. So
I think that's one of the most important things in a running or exercise partner. It has to be easy conversation,
Yeah.
right? Where there's no awkward, like, oh God,
yeah,
how long is this run?
yeah,
Or
or
when
or
it's
just
like-
understood silence.
Oh
you know?
yeah, or like when it's the worst. I've been on a run with someone where it's like we get to mile 4 and she's like, "Just leave me." I was like, "I didn't know we were dying. I'm sorry." Just leave
No,
me.
there was none of that. Usually, it's just like understand each other's pain and strengths.
Yeah.
But
And y'all basically have run every morning since
since
then.
then, yeah,
That's
and
a lot
not
of
just
morning.
running. I mean, there's
I mean,
like,
lots of
biking,
things.
Swimming.
swimming, biking,
Yeah,
running.
it was a progression.
chilling.
Started out with running. And
Yeah.
then we got our running goals out of the way.
Yeah.
And then
So what
We
were
just
let's
kinda
go
knocked 'em
those? What
down.
were those running goals? It sounds like Boston was at the
Yeah,
Day one.
Yeah, there was we had this conversation. She was like, "What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'd like to qualify for Boston, but I really don't think I can." And then she was like, "Well, I mean, have you ever tried?" And then we signed up for Louisiana Marathon the next day,
And Kat qualified.
and then
for Boston.
qualified in January. So,
Yeah.
Y'all both qualified that year.
and then you
didn't
did
you?
New York and qualified, right? I think that year.
yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I was basically training for New York, and so I said, well, let me finish New York, and you can sign up for Louisiana, and then we'll see if you can qualify. The most interesting part of the conversation was just her saying, well, I don't think I can qualify. I don't
Yeah.
want to try because I don't think I will. And I was like, well, if you don't try, you won't.
That's
Yeah.
great advice.
Which,
Yeah.
Look at you now.
I know.
So after New York, we put together a little training
Yeah.
plan and got.
and I think you recovered for 2
2
weeks.
Say an hour.
Well, I think-
I'm ready.
I think
ready.
before we get further into the conversation, for people that don't know, Randa just finished Kona for the second time. Kat just qualified for Kona.
Yeah.
She'll be going next year. They've both done Boston multiple times.
Yeah, and these are races for anyone who isn't familiar with them that you have to qualify to participate in, and it's not easy to do.
Yes.
Nellie and I have not qualified for these events.
I've run a qualifying time.
This is true.
Yeah.
We gotta get you on the course.
On a certified course, just not on the
Yeah.
actual race day.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
did it in ski goggles. So there's that. We'll talk about that whole story in another day.
Anyways, back to Kat and Randa. What was the nickname? I thought I came up with something. Never mind. We'll move on. I'll think of it in a minute. So then, I can't remember what it was. It was going to be funny, but
No, well, you need to think of it.
yeah.
It'll come up later.
Well, but back to that, y'all started training. You qualified for Boston that first time. I actually remember that same year. I think it was the year you qualified. I rode the bus with varsity to Crescent City Classic.
It was that year.
Yeah, I've known Randa for a long time because I grew up running cross country with her kids, and so Molly was at the race.
Crescent City race.
Yeah, it was
The Crescent City.
It was like-
Hayes was there, and I think Clayton was there.
Clayton was
Yeah,
there.
so they're all afterwards. They're drinking champagne and like. I'm like, I'm going up. I'm gonna go hang out with Patrick and get some champagne. It'd be so cool. And Kat was there the whole time. I was like, who is this girl? Who is Kat? It's like this fast girl my age that came out of like what? She was like, yeah, I qualified for Boston. I was like, who are you? And sure enough, then we became the best of friends.
I know, and here we are.
I do have to make one comment just since you brought up my kids.
Oh, yeah.
But when Kat first started running with me, I thought, she'll show up once or twice. But, I had kids her age at the time. She's 30 years younger than me. I have a son who graduated from high school the same year she graduated. And I know how kids are, especially young. And she was in her 24.
Yeah, I think I was like 24, 25.
Like,
yeah.
there's
I might
just
even been
no
23
way
then.
that she is going to continue to show up every day. She's going to call me and say she's too tired, or she's going to, make up some excuse why she can't come. And I can pretty much tell you, other than
I think it
rain
was
delay
3
or
times.
COVID.
3 times.
This many years.
She had COVID once,
but I still showed up.
but you still showed up.
Yeah, I was like, Kat,
Unfortunately,
stop.
it was like, get out of here, Kat, because you sound sick. But she has always shown
Yeah.
up. She is somebody who, it's your dream partner, and that's rare. I think somebody that young that
Was that
wants
committed,
to put,
right.
That's
Yeah.
that committed, and
Consistent.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean-
she showed up too. It takes 2 to tango.
Didn't you oversleep once?
I think I overslept once, and then you got on. I think it was a bike day, but I remember panicking because I was like, "Oh my god, where did my alarm go?" Like, I was more worried about like what the heck happened. That was. I don't even remember when that was. It was a long time
That
ago.
was a long time ago.
It is, but that's a lot of training days, and it's like
Yeah.
you said, it takes 2 people to both commit and show up, and that's not always easy to do. Which I think, one of the questions we had on there was like, how is having a partner committed to the same goals help you achieve your own goals? And it sounds like step 1
Yeah.
is just showing up and knowing that you're both committed to really hard things. Because Nellie's always trying to get me to commit to hard things, and I just straight up say no. She's like, hey, I have an idea, and I'm like, no, I gotta
No.
go. Bye. Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We used to do Ironman together.
She's like, do you want to?
Now I'm
No,
like,
I
you want to do
don't.
the 5K? No. Like, okay.
It's just because I know that I don't have the time right now.
Yeah. That's
So, take us through. We qualified for Boston. Were you able to race Boston together?
We did race
yeah.
Boston together.
Yeah, the first time. Well, yeah, we trained together. The day was kind of.
Yeah, with the day we got to
yeah.
mile 8, and Kat
Was it that
having
early?
a-
No, it was 13.
Kat was having a little panic attack during the race, and we had made a plan that if one of us
Yeah.
wants to go ahead, then we can.
Go.
Yeah.
Just because I had a goal that day in mind
Yeah.
of what I wanted to do. The sun and the heat blew that out of the water, but and I knew she was going to be okay.
Yeah, it was
So
fun. It's like your first.
we
Boston, you don't
separated,
know
and I
what to
think we were
expect.
only a few minutes
Yeah.
apart at the
Yeah,
finish line.
and then
Yeah.
it was freezing at the finish line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah, and race day can never be expected to be
Yeah.
with
no,
someone the
because
whole
everyone
time.
has
Like,
their own plan,
yeah.
and you just you start together and you wish each other good luck, and if you finish together, that's great. But it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
we got there, so
Yeah.
Y'all
it
did.
was, it was great.
Um,
So what did y'all do next? Like, what happened after that?
We trained for New York
that that
after
year?
that.
Same year.
That same year, we trained
y'all
for
did New
New
York 2017, huh?
No, you did New York 2017.
and then we did it. We did Boston in
No, we
2018.
did New York in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, 'cause
And
y'all
That's
then
the same year we
Boston.
did Boston.
Boston was 2019.
If you
So
qualified
following
in
year.
2018.
Yeah.
That would have been 2019.
Yeah.
And then
Just to
Randa
kinda
got
stay in
Kat
shape,
into
yeah.
triathlons.
Yeah. So I remember that. I remember. Didn't you borrow Nellie's bike for a while to like try
Yeah.
it out? And
Yeah.
then wow, you just
It was like,
left
yeah.
the rest
And
of
then,
us sitting.
yeah.
yeah. No. Then she got
I
a road
remember-
bike and left us like all like sitting ducks.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm serious for her to get a triathlon bike.
Yeah. yeah.
So
and then
how
that
did-
happened. I don't know how the time span. It was maybe 2 years or something after. And then I got a tri bike. And then
Her first race was a
Indian Creek. Right?
What was your first race?
I remember that
Yeah.
because I was still like, "There's Kat." I was like, "Look at her. She's
Was it
gonna."
2019?
Yeah, and it was like she
She
was.
didn't do it.
No,
in 20.
but a relay also in a half.
Oh, yeah.
The half marathon.
was all-
or
that was all
half Ironman distance,
2018.
You did a relay.
Okay.
It was like
yeah.
we did the Indian Creek in June, and then we went to Augusta, and she went to New Orleans.
Yeah.
But I did the
okay.
relay in Augusta,
What part? And you did the what?
the swim.
swim.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then I went to run, but not part of the race.
She did the relay the year we did Augusta.
No,
No.
it was the year. I think it was
The next
2
year.
Next
a
year.
year. or
Couple
You
two
did
years
it
years,
in
I don't remember.
2016.
Yeah, I did it in 2016, and I missed my wave start. And like,
Yeah, I remember that.
I
Kristen
got,
Minson had to walk you. You came up to us and we didn't really know who you were. I mean, not well. You were like having a meltdown, and Kristen Minson was like, "I'll walk you over to the start."
Yeah, so I started with Randa. I was like, Randa, thank you.
And I was like, but your whole like y'all are color coded by caps. How did you miss that?
Yeah, I know.
But now that I know you, you were probably drinking coffee somewhere. And forgot
Yeah,
about
right.
it.
But
I grabbed her.
Yeah, and that was a good race day. It was
Started
really
with the
hot,
old
though.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. It was great.
not a bad place to be.
And then Kat went on to y'all both signed up for what, Santa Rosa, and then it got changed.
Well, we
to
went
Portland?
and did Waco the next year.
Okay.
It was the year after y'all did Waco.
Okay.
The year it was a full race because when we did it, it was
Yes.
just a
I think
bike
that-
run
Yeah, but I think we had already signed up for Santa Rosa by that point.
with the group 3 girls.
Yes.
Right? There was a
Yeah.
bunch of y'all that were
There's a
doing it.
bunch
I remember
yes.
that.
And then,
And then started the delay,
COVID, yeah.
delay.
For like
from
a year and a half.
COVID.
yeah.
Miranda got delayed from that and from London, right?
For a long time.
Yeah.
So how was that like trying to train through that delay? Because I mean, I know we had a lot of friends who were doing Santa Rosa,
Yeah.
and it got delayed and it kept getting pushed back, but y'all kept training, thinking like at any minute,
Yeah, I think we were just kind of swim, bike, running, kind of.
just to get through COVID.
Yeah, like I mean, during the winter when it got too cold, we didn't really swim a whole lot and bike outside. There's none of that happening, but running, normal.
Yeah.
I
Trying
think we
to
did.
throw races in there. here
Yeah,
and
like
there.
Louisiana Marathon, I think happened in
20
March.
Oh, y'all did the March.
2021,
I did
yeah.
that happen. 'Cause I
And
took that picture of
then-
y'all with the pink and gray.
Yeah, yeah,
That was in
yeah.
March. Yeah.
And then the one in it wasn't an Ironman race, but it was a 70.3 in Mississippi.
The Ryan Man.
Oh right.
Yeah.
No,
Ryan Man's usually in the fall.
I can't remember the name of it right now. I can't. It's not
But in
coming to me.
2021,
But it
that's
was
when y'all went and did
Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah,
Coeur d'Alene. Yeah,
which y'all all transferred from Santa Rosa, right? And
Right.
Coeur d'Alene.
That
so
was Kat's first.
that was a
Yeah.
year after
it
the
was
original
2 years
date.
after than the original sign up date. Like
Yeah.
I think Santa Rosa was supposed to be in 2020.
Yeah. And so it was
And
a
then-
year after.
Yeah,
the
so 2
actual
years
race.
after
you trained
we
for a
actually
whole year.
registered. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We had a lot of
And
time
that was
to
a
get
hard
prepared.
race, and both of them finished it like
It was
champs.
nobody's business.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a rough day.
Yeah. Yeah. So how was your first race? Like your first?
Well, I have nothing to compare it to, so it was like, survival mode.
You've done a few then.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, since then, yeah, I mean, that was definitely the hardest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think
I
that
have
was
the best
hardest.
of the picture of Randa and Kat after the race laid out like, oh
Like,
my
we looked
God.
like we were about to die.
On
We
the
could
line.
die,
Yeah.
you know?
I was
And I was like, Kat, how was
pretty
it?
dead.
And then the next day I called her on the phone and she was in the
Oh, yeah.
airport and she was acting all like suspicious. And I was like, what is wrong with you? I was like, maybe she's just tired. And then I found out she signed up for Ironman Florida like the next day.
Yeah.
And I was
Because
like,
Nellie was pretty much convinced because we were a little worried about you, Kat, because it was your first Ironman. And to have Coeur d'Alene be
Yeah,
your first
the-
Ironman was not a gift. I don't think.
It was nothing close to a gift.
And we were like, oh, she may be scarred for life. She may never do another one.
Yeah.
And Nellie's like, no, she already signed up for another one. I was like,
Yeah, with complete opposite.
because Nellie was texting me the whole day how
weather
hot it was, how many
conditions.
people were passed out on the side of the road. And I was like, oh my God.
and then here come Kat and Randa. Just
It's hard, but I mean, we got it. So, Randa, you've done a lot of Ironman at that point. So, like, how was Coeur d'Alene to you? Obviously, it was terrible, but I mean,
Yeah, Coeur d'Alene was such a hot day. It was 105 degrees. And of course, the first half wasn't that bad because the weather hadn't gotten so
I mean, it was
hot yet.
wetsuit legal, so it was
Nice in the morning.
it was
And
nice
then-
that morning.
But
And
by,
then-
by the
Yeah.
afternoon, they were running out of water at the water stops. If you wanted water, you had to stop, grab the water, and or Gatorade, which I think they were out of a lot of that too. And I was worried about my time because I thought I had a really good chance of qualifying for Kona that day. And so I wasn't stopping like I should. And with 5 miles left to go in the bike, my neck was hurting me really bad. So I got off my bike, and the next thing I knew, I was looking up at some men trying to help me get up because I'd fainted. So, and then the ambulance showed up, and I was in the ambulance for about 30 minutes while they iced me down and gave me Gatorade. And then somehow I talked my way out of that ambulance.
Back onto the course.
Yeah, I didn't know
the
any of that.
course.
Wow, did you know that?
Yeah.
I did not know
They
that.
let me go straight downhill for 2 miles at a screaming probably 35 mile an hour
Yeah.
pace right after fainting.
Fast hill.
So I made it in, and actually the first person I saw coming out of the transition was Nellie, and she was asking me a question, and I answered it wrong. Like I answered it funny. Like,
Yeah.
I can't remember. She's like, you've got to quit. You've got to quit. You got to stop. I was like, no, I can't stop. So
It was like she slurred her words,
I
and she was like,
did.
I got out of an ambulance. So I was like,
But that wasn't even like that
having
was the truth, and it was correct.
no, yeah, but like she said something, and then like, I was like,
You're not
"What?"
okay.
Yeah, I was like, you're not okay. And she was like, I'm just gonna walk. I was like, okay. And then here comes Henry sprinting. He's like, where's Randa? I was like, she's walking that way. He's like, she's still going. And I was like, yes.
So I decided to walk, and after a little while, I'm like, I think I can run a little bit. So I'd walk. I'd count 60 seconds in my head. 60 seconds of walking, 60 seconds of running. And so it was a 3-loop course, and so it's about 8 miles per loop. And when I came around the first loop, my husband, Henry, said, you're still in this. Like, if you keep going at this pace, you're going to qualify for Kona. And I was just blown away by that information. And my brother, which is a whole nother story, was doing the race with me. He's 2 years older than me. And I knew he had a good chance of qualifying for Kona as well. So
That's impressive.
Yeah, they wanted to do it together.
and so we wanted to do it together. So I just kept going, and I ended up, there were 4 spots in my age group for Kona. We knew that ahead of time. And I ended up 5th. So,
And then you got the spot.
rolled
yeah,
down.
so the next day at the roll down, the 4th place person did not show. And so it rolled down to me right after my brother had been given his spot. So
That's incredible.
It was super exciting. I'm glad you didn't listen to me.
That was a
Guys,
smart
like, you can
move.
do it. Quit. Just be a quitter. Randy's like, I don't think so.
dream
Well,
come
okay, in
true.
my
Slurred words
defense,
and
I was
all.
actually like concerned about her like living.
So we had 12 girls from Baton Rouge, women from Baton Rouge, go to that race, and only 6 were able to complete it because it was that hot and
Yeah.
that miserable.
was
Yeah,
that brutal,
50% is like
That's very low.
I mean, the DNF rate overall for that day was.
I think it was I think it was their record.
It was their record.
Their
It was
record
like-
DNF.
Yeah, I think before that it was Tahoe.
Tahoe.
That one year they had Tahoe.
Yeah.
That was
And
like
y'all beat it by
27%.
like
I also did that race.
Yeah, I remember that. That was
you picked some good
yeah.
ones.
So next time you sign up for a race, Randa, I'm not going to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Well,
Oh, Randa's going. It's going to be real hard. I'm going to not do that one.
Oh my gosh. So
So
then,
what was it like when you found out you qualified? Not only did you qualify, but you qualified at a very hard race with your brother. That's like kind of a very special moment.
The with my brother part was very special, but the actual qualifying itself, when they called my name, I did not raise my hand because I was so tired and depleted. And even though it was something I've been working for forever, I really honestly didn't want to take the spot. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this again.
Yeah,
Because
because
I-
y'all have been training for a
Right.
year already, which is a
But
lot of time.
My dear friend took my hand and raised it to the sky for me.
This would be you? Of course. Kat's like, are you crazy, Randa?
Yes.
So I
Lifted up her
shuffled
elbows,
myself up
like-
to the sign up.
See, there's the difference between me and Kat. I'm like, quit. Kat's like, do it. You can do it.
In October, we fight.
So, but then I was like, well, if I'm gonna train for this race, I need somebody to train with me.
And that's where Ironman Florida came. But
And
then
that's
they
where she
moved
got
Kona
you, right?
twice.
So you raising her hand was you raising your hand too.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we're
So-
both in this together.
So
So
Chicago
I was
Airport.
supposed
Like this. It looked like this.
It was more like it was,
do this.
It was more like this.
and your hand was
forcing
still
her hand
down.
It's like, stop it.
Yeah, so she
no.
decided to do Florida so she could train with me for Kona, which was a very
Yeah.
nice sacrificial lamb thing to do. And then Kona was
Moved.
Moved.
Canceled, moved,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
you want to call
that's just
it.
great. See that? Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Miranda's like, at this point, I've been training for an Ironman for 4
yeah, so
years.
just like, keep going.
yeah. So in August, so we did the race in Coeur d'Alene in June. In mid-August, they canceled the race,
Yeah.
but they did not cancel Florida.
Did not cancel Florida.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
Lucky you,
So I
Kat.
was like,
Kat's like, yes, yes,
and then we had a
yes.
hurricane come.
Because
and,
that's
like,
about the time when it like really gets hard. You know.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like right around then, and we
You're just
did
maintaining, and now you're like, oh, I gotta do all that extra. Training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was whatever. Well, I think it was like September whenever we had a hurricane. Was it Ivan?
Ivan.
Yeah.
And we did our long 4 or 5 hour ride in her guest house with no electricity.
Oh,
Or
wow.
no air conditioning. I'm sorry. We had electricity, but our bikes
We had a
were
generator
hooked up to the generator.
actually.
But no,
Yeah.
but no air.
No
That's-
air. Yeah.
That's mentally tough.
We had a
training.
TV
Yeah.
and 2 bikes, Wahoo kickers going.
Yeah. And it did jump
dedication.
the generator at one point, and Henry had to come rescue us, and we were outside cleaning the pool out for a little while to cool off.
I
So
made
that
Kat
was-
help me clean
yeah.
out the pool.
It was fun.
Oh my
Part
god.
of the
We have some great memories.
So
Some
then
great fiddle
what
fartings.
happens? Then Kona gets moved to what? This past.
It got moved to
August?
February 1st, and then that got
Moved to
canceled,
October.
and then moved to October to their
So
original
then Kat
dates.
sacrificial lambs herself again for Chattanooga.
Yeah, Chattanooga.
yes, so she did it twice.
And then,
but
then that one
I
stayed,
know.
so we actually had
totally improved every
our,
time.
so we,
Yeah.
Yes. And so then Kat does so in the span of what, 2 weeks, Kat goes to Chattanooga, qualifies for Kona for
Yeah.
next year. Then
Yeah.
Randa goes to Kona. Kat goes as the cheerleader for Kona, so we have to talk about that because you now have seen Kona.
yeah, and,
And she raced Kona.
yeah. It was
But this was your second
It was a
time at
great
Kona.
trip.
It was my second time in Kona. The first time I went to Kona in 2014 when they used to have a lottery and you could pay $50 to get your name put in a bucket.
A random drawing.
A random drawing. And I was at my computer and I saw someone type, I think Randa Patrick just got a slot to Kona. And I saw it come up on my computer. Not because I didn't have my phone in my hand. It came up, you know how messages will come up on your computer. It came up on. I was like, it was Melissa
Samuel?
Samuel.
Wow.
Yeah, Melissa Samuel. And yeah, and that's how and I started jumping up and down in my kitchen and, you know, calling people. And one of the first people I called was, I think, Kevin Kilpatrick. And he said, well, you know, it's an open water swim in the ocean without a wetsuit. And suddenly I was like,
You're like, way to be encouraging.
wait, I don't think I can do that. So, yes, but anyway, I got lucky the first time. I guess I got lucky both times, but the first one was just a random drawing.
So that
I don't think luck had anything to do with the second time. Like, you earned that.
Yeah. I mean, how many people can
no
talk themselves
luck
out of
in
an
that.
ambulance and back onto a race course? I don't know many people.
Just the Randa Patrick.
yeah. Also, like in
And
your
convince her
first
cardiologist
Ironman-
husband that she's fine.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, I think like in your first Ironman, people might do it, but you had done a lot of them by that time, and like I think because so many people were already quitting, it would have been easy to just been like, I mean, really, but you were like, no, not today.
No, I don't like to
Not
quit.
today.
Not today. So you
Randa does
said
not
something
quit.
interesting about like finding out it is an open water swim in the ocean with no wetsuit. How did you get mentally prepared for that? Because I have a huge fear of all of those things put together. So how did you get to a point where you're like, yeah, I'm in, let's do this?
Well, I can just say that when I started this whole Ironman process, I was 45 and I could not swim. I could not swim across a pool. So I started going to crawfish, and I would have to grab the rope like within like 20 yards or so. I'd always have to grab the rope. And I remember a huge accomplishment when I made it 500 yards.
With no breaks.
With no break. Well, just 500 yards for the day. So it would be, maybe I'd do 50 at a time and stop
Yeah.
and breathe, and 50 at a time. And then I'd get out of the pool and I'd have to go throw up because I was so nauseous from the swimming. So, and then my first open water swim was an ocean swim at the Florida half Ironman distance. But I had a wetsuit on.
Yeah.
So, and that, it makes you so buoyant.
And there's something about the confidence of having it on too.
Right. So I did things like, in looking back on it, I'm like, people must have thought I was crazy. We would go to Florida for vacation, down to Destin area or watercolor, and I would put on a wetsuit and I'd go out in the ocean and swim. Like while people were like, you know, throwing balls at one another, and you know,
Yeah, and there you are.
and there I am
Yeah.
swimming
Yeah.
anyway. And then when we got to Kona, I did a couple of practice swims before I went, but I just got comfortable with the distance more than anything. But my time was really slow that first year. And actually, my time the second year was slow, but it was 15 minutes faster than the first time. So
Swimming's
I
one of those
just did the
things,
work. I
consistency,
mean, yeah, I just did the work. I still am not a great swimmer. I think if you're not a swimmer, you know, growing up, then it's really difficult.
It's
absolutely
As an
it's almost
adult.
impossible to close the gap because I grew up that same way and I had all of those same fears, and like I always got faster swimming, but I was never going to be as fast as Nellie, who grew up swimming. She's just more comfortable in the pool, and like
Same with Kat. Kat,
Cat's a
reverts
freaking goldfish. She's
back
like,
she gets in the pool and just
tears it up, and you're just
Yeah.
over there like, I'm doing my best, but it's really kind of embarrassing that this is my best.
but you grew up. You grew up as a kid swimming. huh?
Yeah, we didn't, like, I wasn't on swim team or anything, but we grew up in the pool every
Like,
week.
every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how we were.
Like, both our grandparents had pools, so we were in the pool literally.
I literally
all
learned how to
summer long.
swim in False River, and people are terrified of False River, and I'm like, I'm glad that I didn't know that
Yeah.
because I'm like, now I know what's in False River, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
yeah. When we caught an eel at False River, I was like, I don't know.
an eel. Oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, they're at the
not
bottom.
electric. I mean, it's just like a water.
Not electric.
But it was kind of gross. And my son's like, "What did I catch?" And I was like, "I think that's an eel." So we had to go and get, because they're slippery. We had to go and get like kitchen gloves to like get it off of the hook. It was like all the kids were freaking out. But I was like, "We swim in this water. It's safe."
No, but it is. It's definitely, there's a difference between kids who grew up around water and kids who were not, because it's
a mental thing, and it's hard
like
to,
body memory. Like
It's
you
very
just
hard
know
to
what
overcome.
to do.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, when I first started doing the Ironman, it was a mass start. So you'd have 2,000 people taking off to swim, and that gave me a panic attack.
Yeah, watching videos
It's,
of that would give me a panic attack, just watching it on TV.
And the first time I did Kona, it was all the women in the field. So, you know, probably 1,000, maybe not 1,000, but
was still a mass
several
start.
hundred mass start. And they have made it a little easier by doing
The rolling
age
starts.
group.
rolling
Yeah.
starts or age group starts. So this year in Kona, I probably only had 60 to 80 people with me when we started. So that does make it a little
Yeah,
bit
it makes
easier.
a big difference.
Yeah. I remember before I got into the sport, just watching the different Ironmen where they had the mass starts and they were all like, on land. So it wasn't like you were jumping off of something. And everyone like running in and just like hitting. I was like, oh, why would you? Like, it was so scary.
Just arms and legs
So all the-
flying everywhere.
Yeah. The races I picked, I made sure they were all like rolling starts because I was like, there's just no way I don't think I can handle that. But Ironman has done a lot, I think, to get people into the sport by reducing some of that fear, which is great.
Yeah, so why don't you take us through Kona race day? Like, how was it this year?
This year, so Kona is always hot and it's always windy. It's just a matter of which direction the wind is going. So this year's start, it was a just typical
Beautiful
warm
October morning.
Yeah,
In the city of
it's always extreme.
Kona, Hawaii.
Kona, Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for people who don't know, Kona is like the Super Bowl of Ironman.
World Championship.
Yeah, and it's hard to get into, but it's also not like, oh, it's the celebration of racing like
Yeah,
we say
no.
most race days are. This one's actually brutally hard. Like it's probably the hardest race on the circuit based off of the heat and the wind, and there's no part where it's like, man, this is pretty easy. Like it's really all the hardest swims, biking, and running you can put into one day in a beautiful location for the viewers, right? But
Yeah.
for racing, it's a tough day.
I mean,
It is a tough day.
the course, wasn't
The
as,
morning,
like,
the morning was.
glorious.
It's always exciting because you get to see everyone. I mean, the pros are there. They always have celeb runners, triathletes, and so I saw both of the ones that I knew about. They had a Down syndrome kid, Chris Nickick.
Chris
that,
Nickick.
Yeah, we were able to watch him finish Florida.
No, that's
a few
We all were
years
there
ago.
that year.
And then they had a TikTok famous
Oh, yeah.
guy, Noel
Noel Mulkey.
Mulkey. And
No Mulkey.
We met him.
You met No Mulkey.
Yeah, he was awesome.
and I met him that morning. They had the camera on him, and they were doing a Facebook Live. And I was walking with him, and he was like, "Smile, you're on Facebook Live." And so I'm like, "Hey, Kat," because I knew Kat.
I know. I still haven't gone
Cat
and
loves
found
kids.
that.
She loves Noel.
Yeah.
So,
What's his name?
Mulkey.
She told me about him at Coffee Club. That's the only reason I know
Yeah.
who he is.
I have no
So-
idea who this is, but I'm going to look him up later.
You do-
Yeah,
you
you got
need
to. He's awesome.
So it was exciting, and then they did have the wave starts. So they lined us up a little bit differently than the first time I did it. This time they lined us up by age group, and we just waited in the corrals. And so you got to see each
Group kind of go
group
off.
go off, and your nerves just got a little bit more.
worse and worse and worse.
The
Oh, I
worst.
hate an Ironman start. Like right before you get in the water is like the worst.
It's one of those things though that like once you're doing it, it's over.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
fine.
that 24-hour period where your body's on fire from the inside out, right? And then you're waiting, and then once you're moving, it's like, okay, well I'm doing it now, like no big deal. But that
Yeah.
oh, it's
but
like,
waiting to start is like
The worst.
I know every time my kids they play sports right now at the beginning of baseball season, they're always nervous to go bat. I'm like, at least it's not an Ironman kid. You're just going face a batter.
Yeah.
And they're like, what, Mom? I'm like, you'll understand one day.
Seriously.
Well, this start, they make you get out and wade in the water for about
a few
probably
minutes,
6
yeah.
to 7 minutes by the time you get out there. So, and of course,
It
my
feels like
goggles
forever.
decided not to clear, and they were foggy, and I was trying to.
That's hard. Wait, like
Yeah, I was getting on my
cleaning 'em.
back, trying to get them to clear, and they never really did. So I just decided I'm just gonna get next to somebody or get on somebody's feet and just follow them. So I just put my head down and swam this time. It seemed like the first time I did it, I was looking at the fish at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, how is that? Because most
it's pretty.
beautiful.
yeah,
it's
most
really
of the places
pretty.
where we do races like that, it's not that level of clarity.
It's beautiful,
cool.
and it's
Yeah.
beautiful the whole way.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I
Yeah.
swim while
So-
you're there.
Yeah.
I just counted
cool.
the. They
You
have
could literally see the
buoys.
bottom.
I know
the whole
you
time.
love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
like,
just
"Ooh, this
counted
one
the
down. Nope,
buoys.
Yours are gonna pop.
And looked at the fish and got your yeah.
Tried.
I always do that. I count.
I know.
I swim buoy to buoy, so I don't have
That's
to think
what I
about
did.
how
I
far
try.
it is.
I know.
Well, there's one buoy, and then there's buoy two.
I know, and they just kept coming, so it was good. And then you get to the end, and there's this big boat called the Body Glove boat, and you swim around it and then head back in.
Yeah.
So, and when you're going back in, you always have something. There's a hotel there, and you can just eyeball it.
Oh, that's nice. Something to spot
Yeah.
off of. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And then got going on the bike.
You don't really see spectators on the bike much, do you?
No, that's the only place you do see. They were at probably mile 4 and then mile 17.
And then just lonely lava fields for a while.
And then it's lonely love fields. And, for a while, the wind didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal. And then all of a sudden, you can start feeling it. And it's just a grind. And trying to get down the water and the nutrition in the middle of all that is hard.
It's hard.
So, but anyway, I made it. About mile 80 was a low point. I was like, I don't think I could do this 30 more miles. I don't know. But I think you go through periods during the whole
Yeah.
Ironman where
The dark
you're
spots.
up and you're down and you're up and you're down. And it probably
yeah.
has to do with sugar levels more than likely.
Yeah, if you ever
So-
super frustrated on the bike, It's probably because you're hungry.
I know. Well, the only thing that ever got me through any of those bike rides was eating snacks. I'd set
Yeah.
my watch to beep every 5 miles, and I was like, "Ooh, snack time!" And then it was like, "Oh, what else am I going to do for the next 4 miles?"
Yeah.
Just waiting for snack time to come around.
Waiting for
Gotta
the
make
next
sure the
rice
snacks
cake.
taste good. Yeah.
I was like, well, what do you think about when you're riding a bike that long? It was like food, just eating all the food that you're going to eat when you get off of this bicycle.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
you can
Ironman is a
stomach
day
it.
of problem solving. Like
Oh,
she told me that before I did my first one, and I was like, "You're so right." It's like it's just
You
one
have a plan,
problem
and then you
after
solve
the
every single
next.
problem that arises while the
Yeah.
plan is.
I'm thirsty.
You're trying to
I'm
Trying to
hungry.
get to the end of
I'm
the
thirsty
plan.
again. I'm hungry again.
and you daydream a lot.
I'm
is what I
hungry
do.
again.
Yeah.
I dropped a water
Mm.
bottle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. So I got into the last 6 miles of the bike, and you could see at that point you see the runners out on that hot pavement.
And you're like, I don't know if this is
dying.
worse.
And
or
I
if that's
said,
worse.
yeah, I said to myself, I just don't think I can do that today. I don't know. I just don't have it in me to do that marathon and just push myself that hard. So I kind of at that point made a decision once I got my bike racked and changed into my running shoes. I just decided it was going to be a walk run day, almost kind of like Coeur d'Alene was.
Yeah.
Survival mode.
I've been having some issues with my heart rate, and I had not been really 100%. During the last few months of the training, my heart rate would go up to 200, 225. And so I did an ablation. That didn't fix it. So I started on some medication, and the medication, it'd make my heart rate go way down. And not really sure what that did to my performance. I don't know, but I never got really, my heart rate would never get really very high. So I started cutting my intake, and then I got it too low. And during training, I had a rough day where I almost fainted in a parking lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, I knew that was an issue, and just decided I'm not going to risk it.
Yeah.
So, so I just had a nice long marathon.
Nothing wrong with that.
But there were a lot of people my age and in all the other age groups that had a really good day. They had put in the training and they had a really good day. I felt like I just wanted to finish, and I was very happy to do so.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah.
Kona world
Yeah,
champion.
So
Yeah. I mean, you've done something twice
it's
now
so-
that most people will never,
Yeah.
ever do.
it's so iconic to that finish line. I can't even explain it. It's just so much fun to run into, and to have Mike Riley call your name and just say,
And that was his
Randa
last
Baton Rouge.
run.
That was his
That's-
last race.
Well,
right?
it wasn't his last race. It was
Last
his
Kona.
last Kona.
Yeah.
He did the race, I think, this past weekend in California. He's doing the one in Arizona, and I think he has one more
One more
in
after that, I think.
December.
And that'll be it. That'll be really
That'll be-
weird.
So, but then
Yeah.
we waited. So we finished. I had some time with my brother afterwards. He had a great day. He finished. We passed each other about mile 10 on the run, or he passed me. And
Oh, I didn't realize y'all raced on the same day.
yes,
'Cause he
yeah.
was
So
in
they
the
had a
age
few
group.
men
Yeah.
on my day, and so I had done a little bit better than him on the swim. He didn't quite catch me on the bike, and then he caught me at about mile 10 on the run, and he was able to run the whole way and had a really good day. So I had some time with him after the race. I always get sick after races. I got sick. But once that's done, I feel better.
Get it out of the way.
Get it out
Okay,
of the
moving
system.
on.
We took pictures. We took pictures together, and then we went out to meet all the friends and my husband that were there,
Yep.
and my sister, and waited for Chris to come in.
Yeah.
How
That's cool.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So I really wanted to see him come in, and about 11:30 that night, he came in.
We were right there at the finish line.
So Kat
we had a
was-
pretty good
was
spot.
being there made you super more excited or
Or terrified.
Terrified.
so Randa, are you going to be the
Terrified.
sacrificial lamb that trains her through Kona?
No, I'm not.
What?
What was your question?
I said, is she going to be the sacrificial lamb
To
that
train with
trains
you.
Because we're
well,
going to have
she's gonna
some.
have some days,
Well,
yes.
we're going to have some other girls from Baton Rouge.
Tracy Scott.
Tracy Scott's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a great bike rider.
And we
Yeah.
have some girls, I call them girls because they're in their 20s, that are doing the race in Arizona in
Like a few weeks.
November.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Oh,
Issa
because
and-
Issa
And Women
Grace,
for
yeah.
Try has added a lot of extra spots, 100 extra spots just for women to qualify.
So
For-
they'll probably get a spot.
So
too.
they'll probably
So
get
who's
a
racing
spot.
Arizona?
Grace and Issa.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a chance.
In
that-
Arizona, like coming up
Like
Yeah.
in 3
So
weeks.
she'll have other people to
to train
with.
with. Yeah.
And then Daryl Williams is doing the race.
Okay.
And I'm actually doing the half Ironman World Championship in Finland in
Oh,
August.
that's fun.
So I'll get to train through August with her.
And then just
Okay.
pass the baton. And say,
Yeah.
Good luck, Kat. Kat will be like, no.
Yeah. There will be
So-
blood, tears,
So
and
no,
sweat.
it should be about right. I mean, we should be about the same distances through August.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well,
That's
and
not
I
gonna
think,
come up.
you know, when you look at finding a partner, it also helps if you guys are about the same pace, which it sounds like y'all kind of naturally are or have like
Well,
gravitated
yeah.
towards, which helps a lot.
I always knew there was going to be a time when, you know, I would be going slower and she would be going faster. And that kind of happened probably right before, well, the Idaho race,
Yeah.
definitely. I don't know if I hadn't ended up in an
I was
ambulance.
about to say.
What we would,
I think there would have
You
been
did
a little.
have a hot pause there.
we were
I think it would have
around-
been a little bit the same.
we were
on
around
run
the
if that wouldn't
same
have happened.
then, but then yeah, suddenly, and then I really felt like Kat had more in her than that. She was following my training and doing what I was doing, and she was doing terrific. But I really felt like if she got a coach that really specifically coached her, that she would do better, and that's really what happened. You know, she got Jessica as her
Shout out
coach,
4D.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
and they
Yeah, she did a phenomenal job with that. So
mhm.
just stuck to it, and we
She stuck to her
Again.
plan, and
And
we
now
just
you have to
showed
go
up
race Kona.
every. You
And
know,
we
we
just-
just kind of made it work.
we
through
made
the
it
whole
work.
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know.
So we would just try to move a few things around, or if she was doing speed work, I would go out and run with her. I just may not have done the speed
The
work.
same work, yeah.
Or
Yeah.
she would turn
But at
around and
least,
come back
you
for
know.
me. Or,
Yeah,
We're
we've
not
done
like
that
out there by
before.
ourselves.
Yeah, we've done that.
kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And I used to do that a lot when I would train for the first time I ever did Tracy Scott. Like we had different plans. And so we would discuss what each of us had for a workout that day and figure out like how we could manage to at least stay close to each other.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we would have different types of speed work. And so we would just like, if we lose each other on like 421, which is the world's longest road, we'll
Yeah.
meet up here.
and that's
And
what we
then-
would do.
Yeah.
And that just made it where we could each do our own workout, but neither of us were alone.
And at least just having someone to warm up and cool down with, even because
Yeah.
during the work, you're not
You're
really
in-
talking
you're just
any
in-
yeah,
you're
anyway.
kind of in the pain.
But having the moments to like warm up and cool down and take your little recoveries with people is the best.
Yeah. So we had some, I mean, we've talked like about like the training and the hard work, but like now we're talking about the fun stuff. So like obviously training, there's a lot of just silly shenanigans that happen, and there's some sad moments
Oh,
and some
yeah.
happy moments and some embarrassing moments. So like, let's talk about those moments.
Yeah,
That's why people are really tuning in here.
best training memory.
Best
Or
training
funniest, like a moment, like the day that you had a hole in your tire, like your last 100
Oh,
miles.
yeah,
That
that was
a big
not funny. That was like
No.
probably the worst day.
Because I was like,
God.
you want me
We
to
were
do
out.
what?
We didn't
And
get
then I was
home
like, wait.
until like 7 p.m.
I know.
What?
Like something crazy like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she like
It's a
called
long
me, and you're
day.
really lucky because I don't ever answer the
Yeah,
phone, like
never.
ever. And I was like, if
Never.
Kat's calling me, something must be wrong, or she found a pair of shoes for my son. Those giant feet. I was like,
I always keep a lookout. Always keep a
either
lookout.
of these reasons, I should answer the phone. And I was like, this is a really bad situation. I'm going to show up.
She told me about it the next day, and I was like, "What?"
She's like, you answered your phone. I was like, I just knew it was important.
Thank you for doing that because we wouldn't have gotten that in up there at least.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
but,
and that's what's horrible is like because you had to do that in a 100-mile ride. Nellie had a lot of bike problems, and like the rest of us rode 100, and you had to
I
make it
ended
up.
up running 15 miles, swimming a 4,000, waiting for them, then doing the 100
She brought
the
us
next
Cokes
day.
and
It was
potato chips
terrible.
at the
Ugh,
top of
no.
421.
It was terrible.
But the worst part was like she still had to ride that
The
alone.
next day.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, it was just
it's
terrible.
so hard. So
just
hard to
mentally
ride that alone.
Brutal.
I did it all on a trainer because the next day was like I had to be somewhere like I don't know what I had to. It was
This
a,
was
the
before
next day was a
Chattanooga.
Sunday, like because we all rode on a Saturday. I had somewhere to be at 10:30 on Sunday, so I got up, and got on the trainer at 4 a.m. and just grinded.
Went. Oh, that sounds
Sometimes
awful.
you
That's
gotta
rough.
do what you gotta do, though. I mean,
Yeah.
we all
No,
know
you do. That's the only way to get through it.
Yeah.
So what are like some of the funny memories of like just
I mean, the cold days were pretty hilarious. I remember one time we went up to St. Francisville and sat in the car and just watched the temperature go down.
like going the other direction? Yeah.
And then we did get out that day. There was
We
one
got
day we
out,
left.
and there were some tears at the end of Jonesville Creek.
Yeah.
Every time
and
we passed
I looked back at her because I knew something was going on, and she was just tears were just flowing.
cold
It
was
was
it?
freezing.
It was. Yeah.
Like, because bike cold is like, I mean, anything
Yeah,
under
it was
to
at
me
least
is like,
frozen.
yeah, that's
I
cold on a
think.
bike.
But it was like it was just something in
Like
the
a gray
air.
day.
And then if
Yeah,
it's
I don't
windy,
remember exactly
it's just
what-
like,
I remember
I couldn't
talking to you on the
see
phone
anything.
after. Is that the day that y'all called me? And no, there was
don't
one
know.
day I made a cat does an Iron Man video.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a dead deer.
I saw that. That was hilarious.
Oh yeah, there's
So some
plenty
of
of
my
animal stories.
funny moments about her is, and
It's usually her making fun of me.
Yeah, crying at Joe's mom.
Yeah, yeah.
she loves to talk about the cute puppies or the cute goats or whatever. Oh, there's an owl. There's an owl. Do you see that owl? And I'm just like, I'm just focused on getting my workout done. And you know, we'll be running like a 20-mile run on that loop in St. Francisville and near
Chipmunks.
Audubon.
Oh, there's chipmunks everywhere.
She's just like,
yeah.
Oh, did you see that? Did you see that cute little pig? I'm like,
I don't think we've ever seen a pig.
If you did, it was a wild hog and it was not cute. And it was probably running and it probably
it had big teeth.
Yeah.
She likes the chipmunk. Cat likes the chipmunk.
But we have tons. Yeah, we have lots
And you
of
can hear them when you're running.
Yeah.
And like see them.
And the
you
little
know?
calves, deer. So
Fawns.
it's always something.
And
One
Randy's
time,
like, shut up.
I am.
Stop talking about
There
this.
was one time that
Pretty
Kat
much.
and I we were going to start a run together with Randa was out of town, and I ran with her, and we saw a stray dog. And I was like,
gosh.
Kat needs a dog. We're going to capture this dog, and it's going to be her dog. And we ran up the on-ramp interstate at Perkins to get the
Oh
dog.
yeah, almost ended up on I-10.
Oh my God. Well, you
I
tried
was
to.
like, I have to be at work. Like, we don't have time for this.
Or to die. We don't have time to die.
No, yeah, or that.
You tried to pick up a stray dog at the fire station on 421 like years ago after a bike ride.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we didn't even know you that well. And they were like, this girl Nellie is like crying about a dog and we have to go get it. I was like, I live here. I'm going home. I don't know. I'm not picking up no stray dog in my car. And I don't know if y'all found the dog or not, but I was like, it was you and Callie, I think. I was like, good luck. I
Bye.
was like, it's not for me.
We called the animal department. They came and got him.
I once fed a dog on 421 some potatoes because I thought it was going to eat me. And so I kept throwing it potatoes. And then Adrian was like, you know, it's just chasing you because you're feeding it potatoes. And I was like, no, I'm out of potatoes and I have no food, but I didn't die.
Yeah. Didn't bite you.
No, but it was like, ooh, I've never had potatoes before. And I was just throwing them like it was Mardi Gras.
Cat and her animals.
Yeah. And then we like to pick up coins. So
Oh, yeah.
right before she was going to try to qualify for Boston, we went to the finish line of what would have been the Louisiana Marathon. It hadn't been set up yet, but I kind of showed her, you run down 3rd or 4th Street into the finish line. So we're running down there, and all of a sudden there's a penny, heads up. And I'm like, well, that's a sign.
Yeah.
You are going to qualify for Boston. We're going to pick up this penny, and then ever since then we pick
Every
up.
time we find one.
We
You got to
find-
pick it up. Yeah, it
and we
worked
pick
that
it
time.
up, and so I have a
But sometimes
jar at
you
my
get
house
lucky
that
and
we
get
started putting them
25
in,
cents.
and that jar is almost full
Oh, that's cool.
of pennies
Yeah.
Yeah.
and quarters and nickels and dimes.
And euros.
You always need a lucky euro.
So
Could be any coin.
Were there any days that were just like, I mean, aside from the cold day when you rode your bike, where it was just like so hard, like those
yeah.
like there's lots of those.
Oh, all the
Try
time.
to block those out.
That's usually when we don't talk.
Yeah. Silence means fear
Yeah.
and anger.
Yeah. And it's just
and
like,
then there's the days where like we have a 16-mile run, and we'll have like a few intervals that we have to do, and so at the beginning of it, I remember this specifically. I can't say that. Specifically, that we were running, and it was at the very beginning of the 16 miles, and I'm like, oh, we have this whole day to go, and we are known for overrunning
Oh.
the intervals. And
shame
we
on
were
y'all.
in a first,
I thought you were going to
first
say we were
mile,
known
and
for fiddle farting.
say we had
Fiddle
like,
farting?
say we had an 8-minute pace. So we were going to do 3 intervals for 5 minutes at a time for at an 8-minute pace. Well, she decides at the very beginning of a 16-mile run that she's going to do it at a 7-minute pace.
Oh, not like a 7:58, but like a whole.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll just go for it.
And so we stop at my house.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
one.
it was in my neighborhood, and we stop at my house for a drink. And I just went, "What the are you doing? Like, we have 16 miles to go. Like, why are you doing this?" So
Got to prove that we could do it.
yeah,
I'm gonna make a mental note: never run with Kat. Okay,
Never
right.
run with Kat again. No. So there might have been some tears that day too.
But you didn't bail. You weren't like, I don't have to do this. You did it too.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I stupidly ran behind her and did it too, but knowing that, I think it was one of the very first times we were going to have to run that far.
Yeah,
And-
that was. I think Grace was with us.
Yeah, Grace was with us, and Grace was looking at me like, "Oh my
the hell?
God."
Somebody better put a stop to this.
Can we say that on camera?
Yeah, what is, yeah. So anyway,
was
they
fine.
they
We're
like
here-
to call me the boss.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get kind of bossy. So
Well, someone has to be.
Because she's
boss.
like, she's the boss. I was gonna say another word, but I don't think I can say that on camera. So
We try to keep this PG, but sometimes one time Nellie said a curse word.
I did. It was like, oopsies.
it wasn't a bad curse word. It's a good.
Oh no,
curse
it wasn't a
word.
bad curse word.
but we like to solve all our
Yeah.
life's problems.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the
We solve
runs
all the
as
world's
well.
Yes.
problems like
So-
before 7 a.m. most
Yes,
of the
it's
time.
the best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
You do your best thinking. I do.
Kat has a list of
I have a book about Randa.
of life skills, life advice
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I've given her, and I'd hate to see
It's just
it,
on
but-
like a piece of assurance paper.
Insurance financial.
Yeah.
I like that.
Out of a notebook right now,
Yeah,
but
it's very specific.
Life
it'll get
goals.
written one of these days, like in for real. But it just gets jotted down right now. So
So if you had to say, and this, I'm going to put you all on the spot, your best like quality that you find in your training partner, aside from showing up, because we talked about that.
Yeah.
At the beginning,
Give
but,
each
like,
other compliments.
You know, me and Ellie made each other do this, and it was kind of awkward. And then like we just giggled a lot, so that made up for it. But
Yeah, I was like,
best
she was like,
compliment.
but you know, like your best trait as a partner, as a training partner and friend.
I gotta think about this for a second.
We'll play some music.
there's
Like,
so many.
She just has a lot of grit and tenacity.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, to
But,
take an
like-
8-minute pace and turn it to a 7-minute pace.
like
Yeah.
I have a joke that I always say WWRD.
What would Randa
So
do?
what would Randa do? And it just kind of goes off in my head whenever things get like rough.
Yeah.
You know?
And she would just not quit, just do it a little harder.
Yes,
a little
like you
better.
just don't ever quit and you just keep moving forward.
Even
and I
if
think
the
I've
ambulance takes
learned
you
that
in.
from you.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have gotten to any of this without her. So
Oh, that's so
yeah, I know
sweet.
that for a fact. I mean, I never even dreamed of doing an Ironman before. I mean, I had to buy a new Garmin. I mean,
And now you have to go all the way to Hawaii.
yeah, like now I
This is
gotta,
all
now I
your
gotta go back to
fault. I
Hawaii.
This is all your fault.
Yeah.
Randa. She could have been a couch potato this whole time.
Yeah, I just bought the one that runs for you. This one does all the other things.
that was the fancy one.
I had to get the really nice one.
That's what.
But
is that what you do when you're looking at like the nice things, like the watches and stuff? You're like, what would Randa do?
Yeah.
Buy
She
the
would
Garmin.
buy the
not in that necessarily in that aspect. But, I'm like in the middle of a 10-mile run or an 18-mile run, and I'm like the other morning, she didn't have quite as far to go, and I'm like, first 10 miles, I'm like, I wanted to quit so bad. But she was meeting me at 7 a.m. But I was like, what would Randa do? She'd probably just push forward and just get to 7 a.m.
Yeah.
So, but just like little things like
Well, that's
that.
good that you have that voice in your head. That's a positive
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah, that's a positive.
Yeah, it's
influence.
usually not negative,
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, there were no negative thoughts during Chattanooga.
No, when
Like,
you
it's
find a
like-
friend that can help you live the healthy lifestyle you want to, like that's
And
a
encourage
plus.
you to do it.
I mean, I know
So.
that changed my life. Like I had rough years in college where I probably went out way too much or drank too
Yeah,
much.
don't we all? I
And
mean-
now that doesn't happen because
Because you got to get up
I
to
gotta
exercise.
get up and exercise.
Yeah, you got to get up to exercise.
Yeah.
Kat's always there, and she's always helpful and willing to help.
She always
Me.
laughing too.
Yeah, always
She's
laughing and
always
smiling.
smiling.
Always.
Usually.
Always. Unless it's cold and
Yeah,
cold
unless it's
outside.
cold.
Yeah, and
It sounds like somebody
when-
else we know.
Yeah, if it's cold, I'm crying too. Like that's it.
Like if it gets to like 50 degrees outside, Nellie sends a picture of herself to me wearing like 7 jackets, and I'm like, it's just fall weather. It's not even gotten to winter
Yeah,
yet.
like last week was not a good week for me.
Her either.
Me either.
I think
into
it's like
depressed mode.
we still have PTSD from putting on all those races where you had to like be outside at 3:15 in 25 degree weather, and as soon as it gets cold outside, we both like. I overpack. Like I went to a football game last Tuesday and everyone was wearing like one layer but I was prepared. I had a whole bag of just, and everyone, I was like, do you need a blanket? Do you need a hat? Have some gloves?
Yeah.
And everyone's like, really? I was
I
like,
mean, I just want to hibernate and cry.
I don't want to be cold. I do not want to be cold.
Pretty much.
One of the other things that has been great is just me aging, kind of getting slower. I've actually had my fastest times, PRs, in the half marathon. Maybe not the half marathon, but
Not yet.
The marathon.
Not yet.
The
It's still
half
early.
marathon.
February is the
I mean, I
month
said
to
that.
be.
For the
The
half?
marathon, the half
one?
Ironman, and the Ironman distance.
Yeah.
I think, well, I've been training with her, and I think part of that is because she's young. If you train with people that are faster than you,
You have to work
and I
harder.
think in the beginning I was faster than her, and then we met up somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then she has kind of kept me, you know, from, getting slower as I age. But
So I remember before I really knew you, Pat Fellows was my coach, and I think he is or was your coach. And I was like, Pat, I can't run these paces. Like, I'm old. And he was like, let me tell you about Randa Patrick and the paces she runs. And I was like, this conversation is over. I'm going to go pout. But like, he would always tell me
It's
that.
over
It was
before it
basically
started.
like, what would Randa do?
Yeah,
Because I would complain
exactly.
about stuff. And I didn't even know you really. I just knew who you were. And he was just like,
The
well,
Randa
Randa
Patrick.
is a lot older than you. And like, and I was like, oh my God, Pat. And he's like, she just keeps getting faster. He goes, and your times are embarrassing. And I was like, oh my God. But then I had to work harder because he didn't let me use my age as a scapegoat.
Right,
Because I was
right.
totally going to just like throw the towel in.
Oh,
And he
yeah.
was like, no.
And these races that I've been doing, so I was able to be in the first year of the marathon world championship race that they had in London. Like Nellie said, it was delayed.
Delayed, yeah.
Delayed, but I was actually able to go in 2021. And I look at the people in my age group and what they're running. I mean, a sub 3-hour marathon at almost 60 years old is just incredible. And what the times that they did this year at Kona, it's just people, age is not a limitation
Yeah.
at all. You can't
gonna
let
have
it
to
be an
let that-
imitation.
But that's my excuse.
limitation.
Preach, Randa.
That's my excuse. I'm like, I'm too old to do this.
I'm too old. I'm like,
I'm
I'm
not-
not 5K. I'm old. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're just doing different things. They're training differently, and
Yeah, it's just adapting. I think as you get older, is adapting. And like we say all the time, listening to your body and knowing when to do what and how to like make those changes. And diet is a big part of that, right? I mean, you feel better as you get older, and you can perform better if you eat healthy on a sustainable level.
Yep.
So do you have any advice for someone looking for a training partner? I mean, y'all sounds like y'all's just kind of accidental. Randa's like, who wants to go run? And everyone was like, no. And
Yeah.
Kat's like, oh,
yeah, that was
I
pretty
volunteer as tribute.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's how
Sometimes
we
it's good to
became
volunteer.
training partners because Nellie was like, I'm going to go do an Ironman. And I was like, you're like 22. You've never done this before. And you
was
cannot
20.
ride your bike
was,
on
like,
River Road
so
alone.
long
You
ago.
will die. And you don't even know that yet. So I decided to train with her. And then we just laughed a lot. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Yeah, and then
fun.
we went upstage. The first one I ever rode with Maha was before I decided to do an Ironman. I think I had just gotten my tri bike. No, I just got my road bike maybe. I don't know. I was doing a triathlon, and I was like, it might have been Augusta. And
I don't know.
I was like, I need to ride on a Friday. Can anyone ride on Friday? And Maha was like, I can. We're riding in St. Francisville. So I rode with her.
Was Emily Sachet with us?
No,
It was just me and
it
you.
was just us two. And we get to a JVC and we're chit chatting, and then she gone. And I was like, how'd she do that?
Oh, and I remember getting to the top and being like, oh, this girl's never going to make it.
Where are you?
I was like, how did you do
What just
that?
happened? And like, but
did
we
you do
it
that?
turned out that Nellie didn't really know how to use her bike yet, or
Yeah, I
ride a
didn't know
bike
there
yet.
was
There's
big
gears
gear.
on there.
I didn't know
Yeah.
there was big. I was in small rear.
So we just
I
had
didn't know
to
you could
train
train
our
them
way
either.
through that. Yeah.
I was in small
The
ring.
clips were the worst.
It's hard because sometimes somebody will ask you, and you're just like, I don't know you very well. You're a little bit nervous about
Yeah.
meeting them.
Yeah.
At least I am, and getting to know them. And
I mean, then look at y'all now. Y'all are best training
Who've
partner
done like all
friends,
this
the
really,
things.
really hard stuff together.
Yeah.
Which is
We kind of
impressive.
started as training partners too, and now we own a business together. It's like
right.
Two businesses and
the
a
friends
nonprofit,
that you
so,
make,
Yeah.
the friends that you make through exercise are like lifelong, and it doesn't matter what age, it doesn't matter any of that.
Yeah,
it's
because
like,
when you
suffer in
sweat
a
and
way
suffer
that-
together,
when you
become
find someone
friends
crazy
forever.
enough to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you share so many highs and so many lows that you just don't share with like average people. You know, like people you meet in other situations, like you don't get to know them that well because they don't see you crying on the side of the road or shoveling food in your mouth so fast you're about to choke. They don't see the side of you.
And all the other gross things that others associated with it.
They just see the socially acceptable version of you, which is, you know, that's the fake version.
Yeah, right. I didn't even think about the gross things. I guess that was one of the best.
I remember asking the first person I ever, like, when I was thinking about doing an Ironman, I asked them, I was like, what do you do to pee? And they were like, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, why aren't you answering? And like, you just pee. And I was like,
wherever you
what?
are.
I have to find a place.
I still haven't gotten that.
So there's when you come down 421, like if you go up JBC and you come down 421, there's an electrical box on the side right before you get to the stop sign. And it's overgrown now, but for years it wasn't. And that was like my bathroom. I would just go put my bike on the front of it and I would pee behind the back of it. And I pointed that out to my kids the other day because like the hunting camp is on 421 and they have a friend. So we're always on that road and they're like, you just pee behind that box? I was like, yeah, everybody does it. And
you don't always need to have like a shield either.
Yeah, they were just like,
sometimes.
Sometimes the middle of the road when no one's around is a great place for that.
Yeah.
With the owls and the foxes. You know?
It's like, well, I have to go. I'll just go here. It seems like logical to do.
It's fine.
So I think now we're about to wrap it up, which means Nellie usually closes out with a joke. Do we have a joke today?
I have a joke for today.
You seem sad about your joke.
It's not my best.
Oh, okay.
Why do hamburgers go to the gym?
Well, I saw the answer.
Yeah. So you're going to... I don't know, Nellie, why?
To get better buns. That was great.
Yeah, and you wrote the answer under the...
I know.
I know, and I told Jacob before you got here, I was like, don't tell Maha the answer because she's gonna steal the joke.
Right.
Yeah, because I was up there and I was like, why is hamburgers and buns written up there? And I was like, that must be Nellie's joke. And I was like, but she left both parts up
Just
there.
in case I wanted to, I forgot what the answer was. I needed to have it up there.
I once told the answer to Nellie's joke and it didn't go well.
I asked the question and then she answered it, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, there you stole the punchline.
I guess you need another joke.
So I felt really bad about that.
So now everyone in this room thinks I'm controlling because
you stole my joke. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were co-sharing the joke. It didn't go well.
It was not. It's mine. Can't have it.
Okay, guys. Well, that was another great episode of the Healthiest Happy podcast. Thank you to our guests, Kat and Randa.
And
good luck to y'all on the next wave of hard racing and training and amazing things you guys do. And we hope that this inspired someone in the audience to do something
Marine Corps
cool
this weekend.
What?
Y'all are doing Marine Corps? I didn't know that.
This weekend, yes.
We're
doing it, and
we're going to take all the best pictures.
Yes. And no wonder, because I saw on Strava the other day that one of y'all ran like 17 miles, and I was like,
18.
Why?
Why aren't you recovering? That's why.
That's why.
There's been a
I
lot of
made
sleeping
Jenny
too.
today promise that she wouldn't post our times. So.
We're gonna have the
But enjoy
best
that.
time
That's a
yet.
great race.
Yeah, Marine Corps, we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to push Ainsley's ankles.
No pun
on that.
intended.
Yeah.
The best time yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Best time.
See, she just stole your joke. That was a good joke.
Skadoosh pa. Skadoosh pa.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know we're done, but
I mean, we could keep talking.
I know.
We're only done when Jacob shuts off the
I
cameras.
wasn't ready for that, but one of the funnest things that we did was during a race in New York City.
Oh yeah.
We were taking pictures and posting the pictures while we were running.
We did that during Boston this year
we
too.
did it, in Boston too.
Yes, you did. That was fun.
Mile 10.
And then I called my mom.
In the middle of the run.
And actually, it ended up being one of my fastest races ever.
She
I
left
was
me.
relaxed. Yeah, I was mile 17
That
in
wall
New York
was just
City.
like it just stood in front of me.
And Randa just had a free pass.
I was singing, I feel good. And she was not happy.
It's on my training playlist now, so
What would Randa do? She'd sing out these.
yeah. I had to put it on there, so when it comes on by myself, I often
An
laugh.
angry cat is not
Yeah.
angry. So I was
Oh,
like,
it's angry cat like angry nachos. It's really bad.
yeah,
It doesn't come out often. When it does,
Yeah.
it's like it's cringe.
You don't want to be around.
angry cat is something to see.
Yeah.
She just goes silent, and you're like, "What's wrong with
Yeah,
you?"
she goes silent. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to tell it's coming on.
Yeah.
That's how you know how Kat and I, Randa brought Kat to 5 a.m. run group a few times, and Kat's not used to. I mean,
Oh,
Don't talk to me
don't talk to
before
her
I
when you
run.
before you start running. And I was like, "Hi, Kat." And so then for like the next weeks that she would show up, and I knew she was aggravated by me talking to her. I'd be like, "Hi, Kat." Kat? How was your week, Kat? What are you doing, Kat?
You know,
Huh, Kat?
a fun thing to do in the morning is not talk to me.
I got her
You
that
once
coffee
gave
mug.
me a coffee mug that says that.
I got her that coffee mug for Christmas one time.
I think Nellie told me about that. She's like, there's this new girl, Kat, that came to Run Group, and I think I overwhelmed her with my morning cheerfulness. I was like, probably. I don't know her, but probably.
Definitely, probably definitely.
Well, before we wrap up, do we have any more funny stories we want to share?
Sure, there's more to come.
I mean, yeah.
I
there's
mean, y'all
definitely
are
more to
not done
come.
training, so there's going to be more.
We might have to do
yeah.
a follow-up session. Kat and Randa remembered a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Take 2.
Take 2.
Yeah.
Marine Corps this weekend. Like, what?
We had to give you all a surprise.
Yeah,
We couldn't just
you-
come
I
here
know. We
empty-handed.
didn't see that
I did
coming.
not.
Yeah.
You just, like,
We never had a surprise ending, a
No.
cliffhanger.
Yeah. So stay tuned for some.
All because Molly's doing her first marathon.
Molly's doing Marine Corps?
Yeah, she's doing her first
cool.
marathon.
I didn't realize she was doing a marathon.
So we decided to
go
sign up
Molly.
and go. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be
Shout out to
fantastic.
Molly.
All right. Well, we can't wait to see pictures of that for sure.
Yep. We're
We're
gonna
gonna have
look
lots.
great.
You got a good outfit.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
and
looking
we're gonna
good
put
is
on
the
makeup.
most important part.
Brandon doesn't know it yet.
Put on makeup.
Makeup and hair braids.
Yes.
It's gonna be
And matching outfits.
Yes.
Yeah, as always.
He's so cute.
All right, guys. So we're going to sign off and stay tuned for more great episodes of the Healthiest Happy podcast.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Healthy is Happy podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at Basic Living BR, Instagram for all things healthy and happy living at Basic Living BR, and for more nutrition focused content, follow us on Instagram at _basic_eats.